Yo, what's up, y'all? It's your boy, Sam Walker Inspo on all social media platforms with the lovely Lashawn G. What's up?
What's up, y'all?
And you're tuned in to another episode of the Can I Talk? My Shift podcast, the number one place for self-awareness, self-accountability, and leadership in life after loss. What's going on?
What's today? Saturday.
Is it?
It is.
Yo, you ever be saying to people, I know I say it to you all the time, but like, yo, it feel like Sunday or it feel like Wednesday.
Like a day ahead.
Maybe 2 days ahead. Remember that one time I was a whole day ahead for the whole day?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I wonder what that's about. I have to look that up.
I don't know.
I have to figure that out, man. Anyway, it feel like Monday, but it's Saturday.
It's Saturday.
Yeah. What's up, beautiful people? If you're tuning in by audio, shout outs to you. If you are watching by video, big salute. You know what I'm saying? We are gradually increasing our subscribers on the YouTube channel and on Fanbase. Shout out to Fanbase, of course. But the audio, yo, it's really skyrocketing more than what I thought it would.
Yeah, man. We appreciate you guys listening to the pod on all podcast platforms.
Right.
It is available everywhere, yes.
Absolutely.
And we are grateful for everybody who saves, downloads, shares the audio. We also are grateful for everybody who saves, shares, likes, comments on the video. Always remember that is how our videos get pushed up in the ranks on YouTube. So make sure you are tuning in, and not only tuning in, but sharing and commenting and saving, and most of all, subscribing. We appreciate you
for sure, man. And follow the audio podcast on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify as well.
Yeah, you get updates anytime a new episode airs. So yeah, go ahead and do that so you can be up to date every week.
Go ahead and knock that out right now before we get into the heart of the episode.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Cool. All right, babe. What's going on? What's the deal?
You know, I think sometimes it's very healthy to just come off the cuff some weeks, you know. Okay. We definitely, I will say episode 8, we really got some great traction and great feedback and engagement on last week's episode of perspective, right? Reframing.
A new 0 point of reference.
Yeah, a new 0 point of reference. And I think that a lot of people realize, like, you know what? I have shifted. I have changed.
Yeah.
So it's okay for me to insert myself where necessary or remove myself if necessary. If somebody is not jiving with who I am now and accepting me for who I am now.
Did you just say jiving?
I did.
You said jiving on a Saturday evening?
I did. But, you know, they did appreciate it. And, you know, that is something that is enlightening for a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people being able to just grab onto that gem and say, I can't be myself. Mm-hmm. I can't evolve in a way that feels good to me. And it's okay if some people don't rock with it.
Man, I think it kind of caught me off guard, yo, especially when I was referring to like the alcohol thing, right? How so many people on the Instagram, you know, dropping comments saying like, yo, I never thought about it that way. I never looked at it from that perspective, because we're always, I can't say we're always, I think a lot of the times when we're going through our changes and through our transitions and transformations, we tend to play a victim.
Yeah.
Right. Remember that thing I talked about, I think episode 5 or something, 6, where we like to look at ourselves as the hero versus the villains, right? Mm-hmm. But when you really step out of that framing, you really realize, yo, the only villain is the person in the mirror.
Yeah.
It's the only person that matters at the end of the day. That's who you sit with each and every day, each and every waking second of your life. And even when you sleep.
Yes.
It's you.
Yes.
You know?
And it's up to us to change if we want to have the things in life, be the person that we want to be in life. It is literally nobody else's responsibility. And so often, I think subconsciously, I mean, maybe some people do it consciously, but I think subconsciously people don't realize, like, they put it on other people to make them be who they're supposed to be. And I find it now very eye-opening, like, wow. I mean, myself included, you included, you know, people that we have been around. It's like we have looked to others to validate us for who we want to be, who we should be. And in reality, it's us who has to make that 1% change every single day. And some people are like, I mean, 1%, what is that? But it's those little habits, those little steps, you know, how I was talking earlier. Well, I guess it's been a couple weeks now where I was saying, like, I want to keep the house, you know, more tidy. And it just takes, like, we just got to do a little something every day versus letting it compound and compound and compound. And then we're overwhelmed. And sometimes we end up doing nothing. Yeah.
I think it's the same thing with, like, saving money. Or when you, like, paying bills, if you kind of behind or whatever. You know, we don't pocket watch over here.
Right.
But yeah, you know, just that incremental steps, right? The small steps versus the big steps.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's huge personal accountability, like huge personal accountability. And not only that, it actually can really enhance your integrity. You know, it's like one thing I used to teach my students when I was a teacher is like, you know, what is integrity? You know, it's that thing that you do when nobody's watching. You know, it's how you be, you know, in the world, what you do in the world when nobody's watching. We all can look pretty when, you know, Mr. Such and Such comes into the room. We all can, like, straighten up a little bit when our, you know, family member that we hold to a high esteem comes in the room, and we don't want them to see any smudges that we have. But what happens when they leave the room? It's like the principal when the principal comes.
Cap.
Yeah, so much cap. Principal comes in the room and everybody wants to be quiet. Nobody has anything to say. And then as soon as the principal leaves and the door shut, they want to go back to acting a fool.
I guess I would say act how you would in front of the principal, like you would the substitute. Or act how you would in front of the substitute as you would the principal.
Exactly.
Either way you want to look at it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But it's just that 1% every day that helps you, one, hold yourself to a higher integrity, doing the thing that still doing the right thing even when no one's watching, still being consistent when nobody's watching, still doing the thing when you're tired, that will bump up your personal accountability, because now you are deciding who you want to be in life, where you want to be in life. And if you can make that decision, it kind of makes everything else a little bit easier.
Yeah. So I gotta stop saying so. I mean, when we're sliding into the next,
when we segue,
and I be saying that. So again, how I just said it, right? What I do with the podcast is I go back and I watch so I can better understand myself on camera. So I can better understand you on camera. Because as this thing grows, we want to be able to have very good stage presence, right? Like, even though we're on, like, in the comfort of our own home, this is very professional.
Heck yeah. And here's the thing. I think about, you know, all the other millions and millions of podcasters. They all started, you know, at ground zero.
Yeah.
And if I go back and look at anybody's very first podcast, 10th podcast, 20th podcast, there's something that they probably will look back at it and are like,
oh my
I should have done,
yo.
But again,
yeah,
I'm going to say it. Maybe that's the theme for today's topic, today's episode, the 1%. Are you really aiming for the 1%?
1% of change. Don't go for 95. Just go for 1.
Just 1.
I like that. I think we can stay right there. That's cool.
Okay.
I think that's cool. To go back off what you just said with podcasters, right? Going to like their earlier work. I know when I look at those interviews that I did with them celebrities, man, I cringe.
But you probably thought they were bomb, didn't you?
When
you were doing them.
Only because like everybody that I knew wasn't doing what we was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like there wasn't anybody that was going to Ty Dolla $ign's like private listening to do an interview and then go to the yacht party and get invited to the yacht party. At least anybody that I knew from where I'm from.
Yeah.
Industry friends, of course, they was like, oh, that's normal shit. But like to go back home and pull that footage out and be like, yo, look, this is where we was at. You know what I'm saying?
He was
talking with Vibe
undercover
magazine,
celebrity.
Yeah, Vibe magazine and Hip Hop Weekly and all that. Like that was cool, but again, I still look now. I don't even like telling people I did it because I look at them interviews and I be like, yo,
nah,
bruh.
You go back and look at it. Go back and look at it. Tell other people to go back and look at it. Matter of fact, if you guys are following him online, scroll a little bit on his Instagram page and you'll see what he's talking about. I think it's important though. I think it's very important that we have that reference point because it's a lesson.
For sure. Yeah. There's a lot of lessons in there. I think I cringe for reasons that people wouldn't think. They may think like, okay, yeah, like you could have done better with your interview skills, right? I think that's subjective. But I also think if somebody did say that, I would agree with them, right? But it was really who I was at the time. I was as a person.
Well, okay. Yeah. I understand.
Who I was as a person. You know what I'm saying? I know like some of them times I was eager to get the drink afterwards. So it's
because you were nervous?
I mean, it was really just my habits, right? Like I was a heavy drinker at that time.
Yeah.
On film, you couldn't really tell, but whoever was in the camp, they knew.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I look at that. That's the part that makes me cringe because it's like I remember when I was coming up with that interview question, I was drunk or I was smoking when I did that when we were formulating those questions for this interview. I remember because we were smoking on the balcony doing this. You see what I'm saying? Like I cringe for something different.
I see.
For a different reason.
Nobody out there would know. It's like if you miss a verse in a song that you just wrote and you sing it for an audience and after you leave the stage, you're like, dang, I missed that. And it's like, nobody knows.
Right.
Nobody knows. Now they know. I mean, but you know what to look out for.
You need that transparency.
You do. It increases your, I guess, mental acumen, helps you become more aware of the things in your environment. It helps you to take the lesson for what it is instead of being so critical on yourself. It's like, I'm sure there's a degree of like being the critic that we all have, but we're able to more quickly move past to, okay, well, how do I fix that? What do I do differently next time? And that's a very great tip for you guys. If you are in a place where you are practicing this 1% better, let's say you're trying to go from 1% to 17%. That extra 16% might overwhelm you. And it might discourage you from moving forward. But if you just focus on the 1%, you're able to take that lesson and say, okay, what worked, what didn't work, what can I do better next time?
Yeah. It's funny that we talking about this 1%. So Jay Shetty, right? You put me onto the podcast. Dope podcast, by the way. If you haven't checked it out, you definitely should. I don't care what background you have.
Yes, the On Purpose podcast.
Yeah, it's really, really dope. So I just started following him on Instagram. I commented on one of these posts that he made, and I forget exactly. Oh, it was Kerry Washington.
Yeah.
And on that post, she said that she was still fighting with being enough. Fighting with I am not enough. Specifically that. And so what I wrote in the comment to go off the 1% was I changed that and I said, instead of maybe fighting with I am not enough, embrace I am just enough. I'm just enough. Not I am enough, I'm more than enough, but I am just enough. Just enough to get over whatever I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
Just enough to deal with it, right? Like I just skated. But you do that every day. And then a year from that point when you start, you look back and you're like, dang, I was just enough in that moment. I was just enough in this moment, right? And now you're more than enough. Right. And you got the track record to prove it.
I like that.
1% of change. I am just enough. And this is just for people who maybe you're having an issue with confidence. So we start small. I'm just enough.
Right.
Right? Because it may be hard for you to really like understand that you are actually more than enough. You are more than worthy. So let's just start small then. I am just enough.
Right.
I'm just enough to power through this day. I'm just enough to finish what I started today. I'm just enough. So that's something that I put underneath the caption, or underneath the post, I should say.
I like that.
It was kind of dope.
I like that. I like the just enough because a lot of times we do run into different quotes or people saying like, you're more than enough. You're more than capable. And it's like, yeah, but if your baseline is constant, oh my gosh, I'm never going to. Oh my gosh,
self-defeating language.
Yeah, if you're already swimming in a pool of limiting beliefs, you're never going to grasp the concept of more than enough because you don't think you're even just enough. So starting there, going from whatever place you are and saying, you know what, I am just enough. And even if you feel like on days you're more than enough, there's going to be some days where you feel like, I don't even want to get out of bed. I'm not enough. I can't. And as an entrepreneur, I know there are plenty of us who who cry and boss up. I keep this quote in my head that I saw a long time ago where it's like, you go cry, you go boss up. And it's like, first of all, I'm going to do both.
Right.
And and that's okay.
Yeah.
And that's okay. So I
think that's true.
That's something that people can put in their pocket is that, I'm just enough today.
Yeah, and okay, so 1% of change. You can feel two things at the same time. That is okay. I think we've been conditioned to where we think that we have to feel one way in order to accomplish something. So if you want to start a business, they want, like you may think, or we may think, yo, I gotta be super confident in my abilities to make this business. Yeah. Whereas if you have fear, then you'll use that as a cop out. Like, I'm scared, so I'm not gonna do it because I'm not all the way confident. But you can do that scared. You sure can. You can make traction scared, yo. You know what I'm saying? Because I be scared. Yeah. Like, I definitely have moments still. I have been on stages in front of
thousands of people as an athlete, in front of thousands of people as a speaker, you know, or MC. I have been in places where I have been scared, you know, because I'm new at fill in the blank thing. But the fact of the matter is I still got to do it.
Yeah.
I still got to do it, and you still got to do it, and you still got to do it. You still have to do the thing. Being scared actually can help with your confidence, because if you take a step to do the thing in your fear, do the thing in your anxiety, once it's done,
man,
oh boy,
I'm trying to tell you what. Ooh, that's real. That's real. I mean, even when I was writing Unity as a Shift, 2 years. That's a 2-year-old book.
It really is.
Before it even came out.
It really is a 2-year-old book.
But to take that with all those chapters and then condense the chapters to 11 chapters and then make those chapters small, that was a lot of work.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I was scared to put it out.
Was there something in the book that you wanted to put in there that you didn't because you were afraid? Or was there something in the book that you put in there that you were like, I probably shouldn't have done that?
Probably both.
Yeah?
Yeah, probably both. I think the way that I approached inner monologue, I think that just needs a book by itself.
Yeah.
It can really throw people off. And then the fact that I put it as chapter 2.
Yeah.
After ADHD adults don't hear dreams. Yeah, it was like I read and I'd be like, it's probably a little deep, a little heavy. For like, if I'm trying to walk people into something, I would have did that a little bit different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. I would have did that a little bit different. The second half of your question was what?
So I asked you, was there something in your book that you didn't put in there that you wanted to?
I answered your second part.
Yeah,
first.
that you wanted to, but you were afraid. And I also asked if there was something in the book that you put in there that you were like, I probably shouldn't have.
Maybe with spiritual practice, I think that's something that I was afraid to put in there. I didn't really touch on it. I didn't even really touch on it lightly in the book.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's something that I should have done. But again, like I said, I just kind of wanted to walk people, just give them tidbits of my life.
Yeah.
But that'll be in this other book that's coming next year, so we ain't tripping.
I like it.
Yeah, we ain't tripping. What about you? I should ask you the same thing. The jump that counts.
You know, when I wrote my book in 2019, I really wrote it methodically. Okay, so my book is actually...
It's a memoir?
There are pieces of memoir in there, but it really is in alignment with my curriculum.
Got you.
So it's written out based on a curriculum that I created, but I interweave personal story in there to connect it a little bit more with the reader, to humanize it, but also to drive home the tenet of that part of my curriculum. So my book is broken up into 4 parts, and it's broken up into deciding to commit, ideating your goals, executing your goals, and then maintaining your life. And so maintaining your life well.
We picking up what you dropping off. Keep going.
So my book, I feel like at the point that I had written it, 2019, so much had happened that was very, very up and very, very down. I think it was complete in the sense of I did what I needed to do for that book.
Okay.
To that point.
It's your first one.
And it was my first one.
Yeah.
And so...
Not to say that it's bad. Like, no, that's not what we doing here.
Yeah, no,
it's
I'm
fire.
not... Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
fire.
I'm not criticizing it. I definitely don't regret anything in it. I can honestly say that the time that I took in writing it, and I was a part of actually a book writing course when I wrote my book. So I wrote my manuscript in 8 weeks.
Yeah, see.
So I was in a time crunch, but you gotta also keep in mind with me, so many people throughout life have been saying, because of my story, you should write a book, you should write a book. So for years, I had all of these thoughts in my head that just, I knew chronologically it would end up flowing.
Yeah.
And it just happened to turn into...
Not to get too off topic, I wonder if authors who become bestsellers, if they equate their first book to like how artists equate their first album.
How do
to their
artists
body of
equate
work.
their...
So a lot of the times with artists, majority of them say that their first album is their best work because they have all of those years lined up, right? That go into that album. And then from that point on, you have 5 years of experience, sometimes 2 years.
Right.
Depending on the era of music that we talking about. But a lot of the times, like, that first album is packed with so much life experience. Because if you just get on when you like 29, it's 29 years you got to talk about.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But then after you do that album, and now you're on your second album, and you go from 29 to, let's say, 33. You're going to talk about what happened in 4 years. You don't even really relate to all of the years prior to the first album anymore.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Because you've gotten it out.
Yeah, you got it out. You know, your life has changed now. So I think I'm basically asking, I wonder if authors kind of go through the same thing, because I know for Unity is the Shift, it's like, it was hard to condense all of those life experiences into 11 chapters.
Right.
And then make those chapters small to make it easy to read on the airplane.
Right.
That was hard.
Right.
That was really hard.
I think it depends on the author and it depends on their body of work.
Yeah.
I really think, because if you're doing fiction, right, it depending on what kind of fiction, is it, what is it, fantasy, or if it's, something else, some drama or whatever, it might not encompass so much because maybe they decided that this is legit going to be like, I'm going to pull this out of my imagination fully. It has nothing to do with my life. And I'm basically creating a whole entire life in this book.
Yeah, but there be some truthful elements in all fiction. I believe.
I think so. I just don't think it is. I don't think it's necessarily chronological.
Nah, I don't. I don't think it has to be
or
like
like
that.
From so many previous years of said author's life.
Yeah.
I do think there are elements of truth in it, but like my book, for instance, it's really meant to take you through the journey of my life. When I insert the stories, like my first chapter has to do with me being born.
See, so you went through chronologically.
Yes.
And so I can see where you're saying it was more of a methodical approach to the book. Because now, even in your delivery and how you talk, it's not how it was when you wrote the book.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
You've settled in to a space, you know?
Yeah.
And that's why I said, even for me, like, it was trying to find that happy medium between like ebonics and high level talk. Just a happy medium, you know, like for real stuff. You know what I'm saying? Real talk. Like
Ebonics and high level talk.
Just the happy medium, yo. Like, it's like, all right, yo, like you going too high level and like, all right, bro.
Bring it back down.
But it's like, all right, bro.
You going over some heads.
Yo, you going a little too
You going
hood.
over some heads.
You going a little too hood, man. All right, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
But it really is well written in the sense that someone who may not think about things from a high level perspective, they can still get it because you inserted some of that.
Yeah.
You know.
It's definitely going to push you for
sure.
You
inserted some 757 in there.
Yeah, it's definitely going to push you if you ain't never had that type of jargon around.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But also, if you are used to the high level talk, it's going to bring you down a little bit to be like, oh yeah, I remember my roots.
I remember my roots. I was about to say that. Like, I remember where I came from.
My roots. But that was that 1% of change because I thought I had to, like, even with my author voice, I thought I had to be a certain way in order to release a book.
Oh, yeah, no.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
that was probably one of the first things I learned in the beginning of, like, I guess, so you want to write a book, but not, you know.
See, I didn't do a course.
Not that corny, but basically, it's your voice, it's your story, and if you want to sound like, I don't know, fill in the blank author, then go read all of their books and then mimic that style. That's not why books are written.
Yeah.
You know, your book is written, you write your book so that it's your voice, so that it can be humanized and not from any other perspective than your own.
Yeah.
And that's why I think your book is fire, because whenever I read it in your voice.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I do that too, though. I do that with a lot of people. Like, even when I read text messages.
Yeah.
If whoever I'm texting, I'm reading how they respond or what they say in their voice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the craziest thing, because it's like, I know this is kind of getting off topic, y'all, but if you never said a certain word, I already know how you gonna say the word, even though you never said it. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's some crazy stuff. All right, but 1% of change.
Focus.
Yeah,
Focus.
1%
of change. It's about those small habits. It really is. If we are trying to get to the next level, if you are trying to get to the next level in whatever, and when I say get to the next level, I don't mean you're trying to go from here to here. It's like, what's your level?
What would be one of the first key essential things that someone would have to focus on to start implementing 1% of change? For instance, like prioritization. Is that the first thing that they should focus on, or what do you think?
No.
Okay.
It's not. And this was not meant to insert anything that I'm about to say at all.
What you mean?
It's not. This conversation was not meant for me to say all of what I'm about to say, but you know, this is like my alley. This is where I go.
Did I not just alley-oop?
You straight alley-oop.
Yeah, I know what I'm doing over here, man.
So no, prioritization is not the first thing. The first thing is really deciding that you want change.
Okay.
Deciding that you want to shift, because if you just go and shift, if you just go and start doing all of these things, you could run the risk of doing all these things and then finding out, I don't even like this. So you have to decide to commit to the thing that it is that you want to be 1% better at every day. If you want to be a better spouse, well, you better look at all of the things that you could do 1% better in order to be a better spouse.
But
and
then,
it's starting from within, not.
But they would have to understand what they're not doing first, right, in order to understand what they could do better.
Which is why deciding to commit to it is important. Because if you're just going to go and do all the things, you don't know what you're doing right. You don't know what you're doing, that is right for your relationship or not right for your relationship. Gotcha. Like what works for your relationship or what doesn't work for your relationship. So making that decision that, you know what, something isn't working. I acknowledge that something isn't working, and I am committing to taking steps to making it work.
And also tailoring those steps to your relationship, not the generalization of a relationship, but to your relationship dynamic.
Yes. And it fits in any case. So yes, we're talking relationships. We will talk about our relationship on here from time to time, but this works with your work. Mm-hmm. This works with your friendships. This works with your family relationships. This works with your romantic relationships. This works just for your own personal growth. If you are in a place in life where you feel like I should not be here, or I was here last year, why am I still here? And you gotta acknowledge that something is not working. Something is not working. I don't like to say like wrong or right, because
really,
yes, it's because it's relative. Something that may be wrong for me may be right for someone else. So I try to insert working, not working. Yeah. So if something is not working in your life that you can't grasp, you can't get a hold of, but it's not working, you just don't know what it is, the first thing that you have to do is decide, okay, I'm committed to whatever I need to do, whatever it takes, that I'm going to learn, teach myself, ask for help, be vulnerable in order to figure out what it is I need to do, because that can only shift you forward into, all right, now you got to, like, what do you want? What do you want to create in life? How are you going to do it? How are you going to make that thing happen? How are you going to take those steps? And then moving into, okay, everything is working. Now, how do I have the buzzword that people have used for ages, balance everything?
Yeah.
How do I maintain it all? How do I balance work and life and life? Because some people really do have a way of being in one place and a way of being in another place. And I don't want to discourage anybody from whatever it is however they work life, but that balance.
Prioritization comes in, though.
Yes. Yes. That's when prioritization comes in. That's when it comes in. So
y'all see how your boy did that.
Yeah, that's when you're executing, really when you're executing and then trying to maintain that thing that you have now, this newfound verve, for life. That's when the prioritization happens, because now you can prioritize what matters to you.
Yeah.
And then cut the fluff of what doesn't. And we all got a lot of fluff, I feel like. We got some fluff. You got some fluff that don't need to be in your life.
Yeah, I think we do have to figure out exactly what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
There's a ton of people out here who are probably like, yeah, I just want to be a better me. And it's like, right on, dude. Like, you do that shit, because to be honest, it's like that scene in Men in Black, the first one, where they all went and and he was like, tell him why you're here. Remember,
Oh, yes.
tell him why you're here.
Yes.
He's like, he has no clue why we're here, even though he's saying everything he said. It's like, bro, you have no idea what you're talking about, what you're trying to improve on, but you just want to improve.
Right.
You know, you gonna on that shit. Yeah, I think you really have to get down to what it is that is holding you back, or what you think is holding you back. You know, and that's what this podcast is really about, because there's so many things, right? It's just as vast as life itself.
Right.
And so when you pick one thing and you stick with the one thing and then you cross the finish line, now you can start a new race. I think sometimes what we try to do is we try to prioritize too many things at once.
Yes. Everything cannot matter.
You know what I'm saying?
Everything cannot matter.
Or we try
at the
to
same
change
time.
5 things at one time. I will tell you from personal experience, do not do that. You gotta be built different in order to do it. I went cold turkey on smoking and drinking alcohol on the same day.
Listen, I don't advise that unless literally you are in the hospital. Like, listen, I don't advise that.
It does not have to be like that.
Yeah.
And you don't get more cool points for doing 2 things versus just doing one first and then the other.
Yeah.
Because it is not a competition. This is just your life.
Now, let me just say, for what you did.
Yeah.
Like, you did it immaculately. You did it immaculately. And I always want to give you kudos and props to doing that, because you have not looked back since April of 2020.
Right.
Like, you haven't looked back. And there's so many people who, if they really knew the things that you thought about, you struggled with, that you know, you probably told yourself in that amount of time, and yet you still didn't falter. Like, that's inspirational. That's something that I feel like a lot of people aspire to, but it's not simple. It's not simple.
It's not. But we can simplify it though. Yeah. Yeah, even though it's not simplistic at all.
Yeah.
You know, but the 1%.
Right.
Right? The 1X, if you want to call it that.
So one thing I think that you did well, and you prompted me to do, I'll use your story of drinking and smoking. So, you know how sometimes you are like, man, I just want to have blah 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 drink, and I want to go out on the patio or go out on the balcony and just like you say what it is that you want. It doesn't mean that you're gonna act on it.
Right.
Like, he will be so candid with me, and it's like, you want to go with me to the store? I want to go get some blacks. And I'm like, no, you're not.
Do you know why I do that?
Why?
I'm about to give some game real quick.
Oh, gosh.
Real quick, though. I'm going to give some game. So, what happens when you get a really good idea? What's the first thing that you do? Not now. What did you do before you better cultivated your creation skills?
When I first got a good idea,
I
probably just like said it out loud. Like, me personally.
All right. Generally, people want to go and tell their friends about an idea, right? That they got. Yo, hey man, this would be so fire because of this, and carry the Z and add the Y and all this, right? And they do all of that. And then the next day, it was all talk, right? It was gone. And people want to know why that is. Because when you get a spark of inspiration and then you actually vocalize it, it gives your brain and body the same feeling as if you actually went and did it.
Right. Your brain doesn't know the difference.
Right. So I took that, what I learned from that, and applied it to me stopping smoking and drinking. So I say it out loud. So it's as if, I done already went and did the thing. Now my body calms down, my brain calms down, and I just move on from it.
I like that. Yeah. So we do that also with flesh, so we don't eat flesh anymore. And sometimes
she be like, I want the biggest bowl of mac and cheese.
I want to have this burger at fill in the blank restaurant. Like I want it. Or I want to go to Chick-fil-A. Mm-hmm. I miss the chicken sandwich.
Right. For sure.
You and your steaks.
Come on.
It ain't ever gonna happen. Well, no, I'm not gonna say that.
No, we won't. Yeah, we won't do that.
We're more likely to stay away from
where we
flesh.
At right now is good.
But we definitely vocalize to each other what we want, what we may be craving. And it really does help to say it out loud, get it out of your system, because you feel like, all right, I really don't need that. Like when you say it out loud, it's like, it's like when you when someone says something like crazy and you're like, say that again.
Yeah, like, yo, hear yourself say that.
Say that again. And then they say it again and they realize how crazy they sound. Yeah. It's like that. Yeah. I really don't want Chick-fil-A anymore because I remember distinctly the last chicken sandwich I had and I was like, this is not good. It was like the meat was too thick. It was just biting into it was disgusting. Yeah. I just did. Yeah. I knew that was it for me. So it doesn't take away from the fact that I still sometimes get those cravings, but it helps to say it out loud so that I can see I really don't want it.
Yeah. And I also think too, man, like people got to understand they're going to have to deal with pain. Yeah. The pain of continuing to say that you want to do something and you don't succeed at it. Mm-hmm. Or the pain of growing through it until you get to the place where you want to be. Yeah. But it's pain either way.
It's pain is going to...
You are in motion every single day. If you aren't moving towards where you want to be, you're moving away. There is no stagnancy, in my opinion. Because energy is always emotion. That's why it's called emotion. Yeah. It's neither lost nor gained. It's only transfer. So it means it's always moving. Right. That means that whatever you think that you want to accomplish, or if there's something that you want to accomplish, if you're not taking the steps to move towards it, it's either moving away from you or you're moving away from it.
Right. You're right. I know a lot of people, I've used that word stagnant before, only because there have been times I've felt like I'm in the same place that I was before. And in actuality, we really aren't. We just feel that way. We feel like it because it's not this big jump, but a lot can happen in a day, a week, a month, a year, years, that if you reflect on 3 months, if you reflect on it, you'll see I really have moved the goalposts. Like I really have like gained those yards. And we tend to psych ourselves out by using the word stagnant.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to remove that from the vocabulary. Yeah. Quick, fast, in a hurry. Mm-hmm. Quick, fast, in a hurry. But I mean, even with the podcast, there is no other way around becoming a big podcast except taking it episode by episode by episode, right? And then as you get to episode 20, 25, maybe 40, then now you got 5 cameras and you got 20 lights, you know.
Episode 200, heck.
Episode 200, now you on tour. You know, I look at people like 19 Keys, like David Shands. I was watching them 19 Keys before he even had high-level conversations. I was following him. And so that's what really sparked me like, all right, yo, Sam, you know this is what you really want to do. Why you pussyfooting around, right? Why you acting like this isn't the thing that you want to do? Do it. Yeah. Start wherever you're going to start at and let it be what it is and take it episode by episode by episode.
Yes. I that's so crazy that you said that because today's Saturday. Last night, early this morning, I was up and you had already gone to sleep. And I just decided that I was going to, I decided it earlier this month and I just hadn't acted on it out of fear, that I was going to start blogging again. Oh, yeah. I haven't blogged. I haven't actually posted a blog post on my page since 2021. So it's been over 2 years, just over 2 years. And I decided to get back into it. And that blog post actually talks about the fact that, like, dang, I stopped this, but why did I stop it? I love writing.
Yeah.
I love expressing myself in words and
sharp.
sharing. And it was like, because I thought I thought blogging was dead. I thought people didn't read blogs anymore. I thought all of the things that I thought. And, you know, I thought I wasn't gaining any traction and I just was writing for no reason. And it's like, you created that. You created that story.
Yeah.
Why? So why did you really stop? Because of fear.
Yo, you creative.
Did I say create a lot?
No, I'm just saying you creative. You said I created that story in my head. I'm like, you creative. You creative. Should create some positive shit.
Yes. I be making stuff happen, and it's like sometimes I make the wrong stuff happen, or you know, I make that other thing happen, and it's like, no, I don't. That's how powerful our minds are.
You know, the 1% of change reminds me of the Will Smith story with his pops.
Oh,
and
with the
wall. And the wall. Laying one brick as perfectly as a brick can be laid every day.
Yeah.
Until you look up and you have a wall. You don't just wake up and say, I'm gonna make a wall today and expect that joint to last.
Right.
He was like, nah, you lay one brick as perfectly as a brick can be laid for that day. And then the next day you do the same thing. And then, you know, I don't know, some months or whatever, look up and you got yourself a wall.
Right.
Perfect wall. So that's what 1% of change can do. Just like if you're in a boat. 1 degree can send you miles off course, but 1 degree back send you right back on course.
Exactly.
You know? So
exactly.
Yeah.
I like this conversation. I mean, because for me, it's all about discipline. You know, it's the thing I talk about. You know, discipline.
Talk about it.
Authenticity. You know, taking the time to do what you want to do for you, and realizing it does take discipline. And a lot of times people have a negative connotation on discipline, and it has nothing to do with negativity.
Man, hey, I think we got next week's episode.
Oh, look at that.
Just from what you just said, because remember we talked about it before. Discipline versus will.
Oh, we did talk about that before.
Yeah, we got to do that.
Yeah.
Y'all got it. There it is. That's the one we're going to do.
Tune in for next week.
That's episode 10?
That will be episode number 10.
It'll be 10.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Discipline versus will. That's what we're going to do.
But yeah, that's really what it comes down to. When you're looking at 1% every day, it's moving you in the direction that you want to be in, and it happens to have whatever action steps and habits that you're going to take. And when you are consistent with it, that is a bout of discipline. That's a showcase of discipline when you can be consistent. And it doesn't have to be this harsh, masculine like thing. You can flow in discipline. There can be a feminine energy, a masculine energy in discipline, where you are flowing and allowing things to happen and receiving the things that come to you by executing those daily habits, those little habits. But the masculine energy of it is the doing, right? It's the doing. But if you can be yourself in it, see, this is all coming around because these are the things we talk about. If you can be your authentic self doing the things that you're doing, then you're going to attract the things that you're supposed to attract. You're going to attract the people around you, the opportunities that you want. You're going to see things happen even if you're not looking for them.
Yeah.
You know, I'm talking to you guys, I'm talking to myself, because it's not like we have it all together in this piece.
Right.
We are constantly on a journey of creating habits that work for us, removing habits that don't work for us anymore,
and integrating things that we thought we may have needed to let go, but really no, we just needed to integrate it with something else. You know, because just to add to your point real quick, if you learn all about blue and I learned all about red, right? And then so now we're trying to live together, and all you know is the blue way.
Yeah.
And all I know is the red way. Right? Is that what I said? Yeah. Well, and I'm like, no, the red is the way. And you're like, no, blue is the way. That's all I know. Well, when we integrate, we create something completely different. Purple.
Right.
Purple. A whole nother way. But the way was already there because purple, it stands alone.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? But maybe we just never saw it because we were just focusing on red and blue.
Right. I think we may have touched on this before because it was like...
Yeah, it was in a car ride.
Yeah, because we were talking, it's like, if I think this one way, you think this other way, and we create purple, he or she gonna be looking at us like... I'm me.
Yeah, I'm me, but I'm both of y'all.
Right.
But I'm still me, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's such the beautiful analogy for it, because whatever you create, from your perspective, from someone else's perspective, is going to be a completely other perspective than what you or the other person has. Whether that is a whole human, whether that is a business, whether that is a product or service, it's going to be seen as something different depending on who is looking at it.
Absolutely, yo.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we been going in.
We have
we
been.
try to keep it under an hour.
This is good. I mean, 1% better. I think we got 1% better in just this week's episode.
I was just about to say that. I think we about to leave 1% better.
We're leaving 1% better. So I guess if we had to sum up
what you did there.
If we had to sum up,
there, yo.
You know what this episode is, you know, man. it's a. Hey, listen, I be coming prepared, even if I don't look like I come prepared. But I'm
saying the title of the book, and just enough, and all right,
yeah. So
lay it on the people, babe.
Book of the week, book of the week. I really didn't necessarily cater this to the conversation. It just turned into it. We didn't start with this topic in mind. I feel like my mic is gone way down low, but I'm still talking loud enough. It's all good, y'all. Hey, listen, 1% better. Right?
Yeah, just lean into it a little bit.
So this week's book of the week is called The Slight Edge. The Slight Edge is by Jeff Olson. Okay. I know sometimes we just tell you guys about books we have, we don't necessarily show them, but this is the book. Okay. The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. Turning simple disciplines into massive success and happiness. So the slight edge is a way of thinking, a way of processing information that enables you to make the daily choices that will lead you to the success and happiness you desire. So I just pulled a couple of main points, or one main point from the book. I just looked it up because sometimes, you all need that. And I need it. It's been a while since I read this book, but the philosophy behind The Slight Edge is success is the result of repetitive productive actions over a consistent period.
That's the formula.
That's the formula. When you adopt this mindset, your actions have to follow immediately for them to work. Therefore, everything we do each day must coincide with our burning desire to achieve success. And when we talk success, again, we're not talking about billions of dollars and all this notoriety. It's what it means to you. What does success mean to you? It's kind of like the question that I ask sometimes, like, when is enough money enough? You know, when is it that, like, what's the amount that's going to be enough? Because I know people go and go and go and go and go to the point where sometimes they can get a little greedy. You know, it's like, what are you going to do with all this money? Like, your generations and generations and generations aren't going to be able to spend all this money. So what are you really doing with it? What is success to you, and what are you willing to do? What slight edge are you willing to go in order to achieve that level of success for you?
Fire.
Yeah, so.
It said November 4th, 2013 is when it came out. And I just thought that was kind of cool because big news on November 4th. We'll drop that next episode, though. We're finalizing everything. Yeah. But that date is locked in for sure.
Yes.
So it's just kind of crazy. I just seen that. I'm like, oh, snap. Look at that. November 4th, huh?
Yeah.
The Slight Edge. Okay.
Yeah. So
but
check out that book.
Where can they find the book at?
So we can put a link in the description of the video. We can put it in show notes if we do show notes. But we can put it in our Amazon store. You can get it on Amazon. Hardcover, I believe they do have it on Audible. And yeah, that's where you can get it. It's a wonderful book. There's a lot of personal stories in there. I guess personal stories of different people that he has interviewed that give examples of how they utilized different tactics in the book to gain the slight edge.
Fire. All right, y'all. Speaking of the slight edge, I'm going to give you guys a slight edge real quick. You can go to samwalkerinspo.com to purchase or pick up Unity is the Shift, the paperback version or the ebook version. Or you can pick up the Jump That Counts at thelg.com. Either one, take your pick. Both of them have massive amounts of inspiration in them, as well as, I guess, steps that you can take to start your 1% of change.
Exactly.
Yeah. So definitely check out our books on our websites. Also, you can pick up this book in our Amazon store, like Bae said. And is there something that you want to leave with the people before we dip out?
1% better, y'all. Let's get it. 1% is all it takes in order to get towards the way of being that you want to be.
Right. Yo, we appreciate you lending us your ears and your eyes. Can I Talk My Shift is on YouTube, on Fanbase, and streaming on all podcast platforms.
Thank you so much for watching, guys.
Till next time, y'all. Till next episode. Peace.